It starts the second you wake up. Snooze or get up? Coffee or tea? I mean, by the time you've even walked out the door, you've probably made dozens of choices. From the huge, life-altering ones to the tiny, everyday ones, our lives are just this constant series of decisions, this relentless pressure to pick the right path.
And it all comes down to this one question, doesn't it? It just echoes in your mind. What should I do with my career, my health, my relationships? It's so simple, so direct, and yet it can be completely overwhelming. This feeling, this weight, it actually has a name.
The onus. It's a Latin word that literally means load or burden. It's that weight of responsibility that comes packed with every single choice we make. And for centuries, we've tried to lighten this load, right? We've created systems to guide us, rules, laws, moral codes. But as we're about to see, sometimes those guides just make the path even murkier. So let's dive into that. This single question, what should I do? It's one of the oldest problems in human history. To try and solve it, we've built entire institutions, these massive systems of guidance designed to just give us the answers. For centuries, some of the smartest people out there have tried to draw a nice, clean line between what's legally required of us and what's morally right. You'd think that would give us a clear map to follow, but nope. The lines get blurry really, really fast. And this is where a fascinating idea called artifact concepts comes in. Think about it. Law, science, even something as simple as a chair. These are all things we humans made up. And because our reasons for using them change over time, they're almost impossible to pin down with one simple definition. A chair can be for sitting, sure, but it can also be a step stool or even just decoration. So if we can't even lock down the definition of a chair, how on earth can we define something as huge and complicated as the law? And this right here, this brings us to what legal philosophers call the demarcation problem. Basically, the huge challenge of telling our different systems of guidance apart. This visual really gets to the heart of the problem. Just look at how much these two systems overlap. Both law and morality are supposed to guide our behavior. They both use words like duties and rights. Okay, one might threaten you with jail time and the other with social shame, but their core purpose? Almost identical. It's nearly impossible to draw a perfect line between them. And this all leads to a really powerful question from philosopher Brian Leiter. He's basically asking, hey, if we've never been able to perfectly define any human-made concept, from science to art, why in the world would we expect law to be any different? The implication is pretty clear. Looking for some perfect external guide to tell us exactly what to do might just be a wild goose chase. So, if our external rules are all blurry and imperfect, where does that leave us? Well, it can lead to a feeling that our efforts aren't just confusing, but maybe utterly meaningless. And for that feeling, there's an ancient Greek myth that offers a really powerful perspective. Meet Sisyphus. As a punishment from the gods, his fate is to push a giant boulder up a mountain, only to have it roll all the way back down the moment he reaches the top. And he has to do this over and over forever. It's hard to imagine a more perfect metaphor for futile, hopeless work. The philosopher Albert Camus saw this myth as a perfect mirror of modern life. He argued that the tragedy isn't the repetitive work itself. It's that moment we become aware of how absurd it all is. You know, that sinking feeling that what you're doing doesn't really matter? But here's the twist. For Camus, this moment of consciousness is also a moment of incredible power. He focuses on Sisyphus walking back down the mountain to get the rock again. In that moment when he is fully aware of his pointless fate, Sisyphus isn't a victim. He is conscious. And in that consciousness, he becomes superior to his fate. He is stronger than his rock. And this leads to his absolutely staggering conclusion. The meaning isn't waiting at the top of the mountain. It isn't in finishing the task. The meaning is found in the struggle itself. By embracing the absurdity of his task without any hope of escape, Sisyphus finds a kind of freedom, even joy. We must imagine him happy. Okay, so faced with blurry rules and this huge existential weight, how do we actually act? Well, we do what humans have always done. We create frameworks to guide ourselves. And these frameworks, they come in all shapes and sizes, but they all serve the same purpose, to help us push our own boulders. On one hand, you've got these ancient, formal codes like the Hippocratic Oath for doctors, a really high-stakes guide for an entire profession. And on the other, you have modern, practical advice for those days you just feel plain stuck. Take a look at the principles of the modern oath. It's not just about technical skill. It's about humility, being able to say, I know not, and remembering your connection to the community. It's a framework built on wisdom and a sense of shared responsibility. Now, compare that with a modern framework for feeling overwhelmed. It's not about grand principles. It's all about immediate, practical action. Stop. Breathe. Ask what the very next, smallest step is. The goal here isn't to solve everything all at once. It's just to start moving the rock again, even if it's only by an inch. So, what's the common thread here? From ancient philosophy to modern self-help, what's the connection? It really all comes down to one thing: perspective. It's about how we choose to see our burdens. And we have a beautiful metaphor for this kind of perspective shift: finding the silver lining. You know the one. It's that glimmer of light on the edge of a dark cloud, that hopeful piece you can find even when things feel pretty gloomy. And this isn't some new idea. It goes back centuries, at least to the poet John Milton, way back in 1634. We have been trying to find the light in the darkness, the purpose inside the struggle, for a very, very long time. Which brings us full circle. Sisyphus found his silver lining. His curse was the dark cloud, for sure. The rock was his burden. But embracing the struggle itself, that became his purpose. He didn't escape the burden. He completely redefined his relationship to it. And that's the ultimate takeaway. We all have our own boulders to push. In our jobs, our lives, our biggest ambitions. The systems and the rules, they can only guide us so far. In the end, meaning isn't found in some perfect answer or a finished task. It's found in the conscious, deliberate push. So the question isn't how to get rid of the rock. The question is, what makes your struggle worthwhile?